You got any 2025 goals?
Yeah, I do. It's to read 100 books. So I figured I'd talk about some of my most anticipated reads for the next year, since it's gonna be a pretty good one. I've got a lot of series that are gonna get finished up, and a couple of new little books here and there that I'm excited to read. A couple that have been on my reading list for a long time, and they're finally gonna be out and ready for me to devour. So let's talk about them. The first book on my list is actually the final book in a series that I started when I first got back into reading, called Legend Born by Tracy Deonn. The final book's called Oathbound, and this is kind of a story of a girl who's like misfitting in college. Like, she's just a little bit different. She's got some weird family history, she's got some trauma, but she's trying to escape it all. And she catches some weird stuff going on at a party that she decides to go to. And from there, everything just kind of goes downhill. She meets these weird people who are part of like almost a cult, but it's also kind of like a sorority slash fraternity, and they're really obsessed with like Arthurian legends, like the round table people, and they're all like super white rich people, and she's just a black girl who's trying to figure out what the fuck's going on because she knows they're up to something. So yeah, I think this one is gonna be a little more training arcy, trying to learn some magic powers that we didn't know we had before, and I don't know, I would have been really excited for this when I was starting reading, but I think now that I've read a couple more series, I just don't really vibe with this one as much anymore. I just think that the systems are not as like in depth as I wish that they were, and I feel like looking back on things now, like if I reread them, I'd probably be like, oh, that was like okay, It's still a fun book, and I want to finish it because I need that completionist in me to be satisfied. But, just one that I'm not as excited for as many others on my list, perhaps. Coming out in the same month as Oathbound is a little off book that I've been trying to read for a while, but it hasn't been out yet, called They Bloom at Night by Tran, which I am absolutely mispronouncing, and I am so sorry for that, but I am an idiot. But yes, this one is a very kind of weird book, and you guys know I love my weird books, but it is about a town called Mercy that gets a big like hurricane that hits it, and ever since then there's like this weird red algae and like weird mutated creatures in the water, and apparently there's been a creature just like kidnapping people. And our main character, she goes to a party with her older boyfriend who's like, ah, trust me, babe, it'll be so much fun. And like, shit absolutely goes down. And she ends up like super traumatized having to deal with this. And she's kind of like feeling like, I'm just like not right in this world. And this story is kind of a weird vibe because it follows like the main girl, but she's also trapped with like her mom. Like, her mom's there, and they're just both kind of like wandering around with all of these weird creatures. And in the description, it literally says that her mom thinks that all of their dead family are reincarnated as these weird mutated sea creatures. Meanwhile, the main girl's like, Mom, shut the fuck up, please. Life is so hard down here. Why you gotta make it harder? But yeah, I'm excited. I love a good weird book, and there's gonna be some monster hunting in it, and oof, I love some monster hunting. I really hope I get some really creepy creature descriptions. I want the water vibes. I'm very intrigued by this book. It'll be coming out in March, and I will definitely be reading about it, so you will hear me yapping at the end of March. Next up is by an author that I've read before, Nat Cassidy, who I will say I love him because he just writes shitty men, and he just is really good at writing men that I fucking hate, and I love that for me? So this book is a consistent men-hating book. It is called When the Wolf Comes Home, and it's about an actress who's, kind of struggling to make her way, but one day when she's coming home, she meets this, like, little 5-year-old boy who's, like, hiding in the bushes at her apartment, and his dad's kind of, like, a shitty guy, and so when he shows up, our main character, she's like, fuck off. This is my child now. I'm going to protect him with my life. I just met him 5 minutes ago, and I would kill for him. So yeah, it's about maybe like how horrible abuse can truly become, to the sense that like a person can become a monster, you know? Like, it's not actually about like anything supernatural, I don't think. I think it is literally just like how terrifying a person who is abusive can become and how they are truly the monster, the villain in this story. You don't need to make one because one already exists. And it is a difficult topic, but I like going out of my comfort zones, and Nat Cassidy has wrote some very off-putting stories. We read Nestlings by Nat Cassidy, so I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. It sounds interesting and it sounds like something a little out of my comfort zone, which sometimes we need to do. So I'm gonna give that one a try, and that one would be coming out towards the end of April. So I might not get to it right away, but you will see it in the near future. Next up is the finale to another trilogy, Faithbreaker by Hannah Kaner, which is from the God Killer series, which I did talk about on here before because I did read it. It'll be coming out in April, and I'm excited. I'm pretty sure it's the finale because I very clearly remember when I wanted God Killer that I was like, oh, I'll just wait for the second book to come out because it says it's a duology. And then when I went to the bookstore and I bought both the books, I looked at the back of the second book and it said, the second book in a trilogy. And I just got so mad. I was like, girl, why are you lying to me? I thought I was gonna be able to finish this all off in one sitting and it would be great. But no, I ended up having to wait a long ass time for this third book, but I'm excited to finish it off because it was a really, really good series. I love books that have like, you know, like crazy religions in them, and like books where gods like actually play a part in the story. They're not just like entities that are admired and worshipped, you know? Like these gods be fucking shit up, and I love that. And I just love the main characters. They're all so lovable. Even when they do things that really, really fucking piss me off, I'm like, it's okay. They're my baby. They'll be fine. But yes, this book is very found family, very like LGBT, and there's like handicap characters as well. It's got great representation. It's just all around pretty good vibes, you know? I like it. Even a character that you hate, you could grow to love because Hannah Kane is just great at redemption stories. So that's a Faithbreaker for you. I'm excited. Next up, also coming out in April, very busy month for me, is gonna be The Book That Held Her Heart by Mark Lawrence. This is the finale in the Library Trilogy series by Mark Lawrence, and I'm so excited for it because at the end of the day, when you're reading the first two books, you're like, ah, this is the plot, we got this. But no, the first two books merely set up. The third book is where it's all going down. Ah, I'm so excited. We've got all of these like crazy, like things coming to meet up at one point. I don't want to say too much because obviously spoilers, but yeah, like tons of things have been set up and now it's time for them all to come into play. The chessboard has been placed on the table, all the pieces are on there, and now it's time to play the fucking game. I'm so excited for it, you know? This book series has just done amazing things to my brain where I'm like, I know exactly what's going on, and then it like changes. Or I'll be like, oh, this book would be so much better if this happened, and then it happens and I'm like, whoa. Oh, this book's so good to me. Like there was actually a point in the first book where I was like, man, this book just would have been so much better if blah 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 did this instead, and then they did it and I was like, what? It's like the book can hear me. This book holds my heart, you know? So I'm very excited. April's going to be a very busy reading month for me because there are tons of series that are getting finished off and I have to know how they end. I don't have much to say about the next book because even its description has not been put onto Goodreads yet, even though it's coming out in May. But the next book on my list is The Strength of the Few by James Islington. I just read the first book and the way it ended was just so bananas. Like, you think you know what's going on, but you don't. It just absolutely throws you through a loop at the very end there. And I am excited to see where this goes. I love a good kind of science fiction fantasy book, and that's kind of the vibes this one's taken, where it's very rooted in like kind of a fantasy world where things aren't like too crazy, but then you get into like the depths of the details and suddenly you're like, I am learning science. Which is great because I don't like outright science fiction. It makes my stupid brain hurt. But when you slowly introduce me to science stuff, I'm like, ooh, ooh, I'm a good student. I'm learning. So yes, this book ended with like an absolutely crazy like epilogue kind of thing going on, and the second book I'm hoping will have some answers for me and not just be like, well, let's pretend that never happened. I am excited too though, because the author's already started the third book, so hopefully that one won't be too far behind either, and we can just pop that bitch out too. I need to know what's gonna happen. So that is The Strength of the Few in the Hierarchy series by James Islington. Okay, next up, a book by my favorite author, T. Kingfisher. I actually didn't even know what this book was about when I said I wanted to read it. I just fucking love T. Kingfisher and everything she puts in front of me. She could put a fucking pile of slop and I would eat that up. But yes, T. Kingfisher's next book, well, she's got a couple coming out in the next year, but the one that drew my eye was Hemlock and Silver. This is a Snow White retelling, but not following Snow White. We're actually following a healer who's trying to fix Snow White, you know? Poison's killing her, she kind of ate that apple. Now it's time to fix her by not kissing her on the lips without consent. So we follow our main character who is a healer. She doesn't know a lot about like the politics of the world, but she knows poisons, so she's showing up. But when it comes to what's going on here, maybe politics are a bit more important because it turns out that our princess Snow White has a dead sister and a crazy mom and some really weird shit going on. So it's a little more complicated than just solving poison because clearly something weird is going on and fixing the poison might not fix the problem. I will say I'm really excited because the book says that there's going to be a cat in it, and T. Kingfisher writes animals just phenomenally. Like every time she has a dog or a cat in a book, they're just the best character and just so well written. Like the Twisted ones had an amazing dog in it. I fucking love that dog with my passion. And the Bone dog and Nettle and Bone, chef's kiss, love that guy. So I'm really looking forward to this narcissistic cat character that is described in my description here. Better be there or I will be very disappointed. Last but definitely not least on my revelations for 2025 is a book coming out all the way in September, but definitely one I'm super excited for. It's a book in the series The Roots of Chaos by Samantha Shannon. It's a kind of like little sidestep from the main plot. It's about a character that we meet in the first book, and we get kind of a spark notes of her story, which is just like absolutely crazy. Like she's like, you'll never believe me, and the character's like, dude, I barely believe you when he hears it. So I'm super excited to hear it play out. It's called Among the Burning Flowers, which is very relevant to the story itself. There's kind of like a whole part about how the city is surrounded by lavender, but when shit starts going down, somebody lights all of the lavender fields on fire, and the city is just kind of like trashy from that point on. But we're going to be seeing why exactly everything went to shit from her perspective. And I gotta say, I just love the way Samantha Shannon writes, so I'm super excited about this. I just want to share with you the opening quote from The Priory of the Orange Tree, since I won't be talking about the book in a future video, but just listen to this. The stranger came out of the sea like a water ghost, barefoot and wearing the scars of his journey. He walked as if drunk through the haze of mist that clung like spider silk to Seiki. Like, that's the first line that you read in the book. Ugh, just slay. Slay. Absolutely slay. Yeah, and Samantha Shannon writes some amazing, like, powerful women who are like, I take no shit. I don't care that I'm a queen with a council. Fuck my council. I do what I want. So I'm super excited to see how this girl who kind of gets her kingdom overthrown and turned over will, you know, make a comeback. What kind of bad bitch do we have in store today? For listening to my ramblings, this was definitely more of a rambly video because I haven't read any of these books yet, but I'm all excited for them. So yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will be here next year and listen to me ramble about them. If you have any books you're looking forward to, always let me know. You know me, I love some new recs. But yeah, thank you very much for joining me for this whole year, and I hope to see you soon in the new one.